What's up guys, Rian here. So have you ever wondered if you can have a sandboxing environment within Windows 10? Well, if you have, you're in luck. So not a lot of people are aware of the fact that there is a sandboxing environment within Windows 10 Pro and Windows 10 Enterprise editions. So think of it as almost like Hyper-V, but it is a sandboxing environment where you can test, for example, dodgy files, and once you're done with the environment and you close it off, it will revert to a fresh instance of Windows 10. So let's have a look and see how to actually configure this. Alright, so now that we're on my PC, I am running a Windows 10 version, so it should be Pro or Enterprise in order to enable Sandbox. So let's just go ahead and open up Command Prompt to confirm my Windows version. So we're going to say Command Prompt and we're going to say WinVer. Cool, and as we can see, I am registered for Windows 10 Enterprise on this machine. So now that we have the prereqs out of the way, let's go ahead and enable the Sandbox environment. So what we'll have to do is we'll open up Windows Search and we're going to search for Programs and Features. And we're going to say turn on Windows features on or off. We're going to scroll all the way down. And here where it says Windows Sandbox, we'll have to click or make the checkbox here for Windows Sandbox and just say OK. And what it's going to do now, it's going to get all of the required files in order to enable Windows Sandbox on this machine. And seeing that it's directly on my machine, it's going to install it. Once it's done, it's going to ask me to reboot. So in order to apply the changes, and then we should be able to open up the Sandbox environment. It is also possible to enable Windows Sandbox on a virtual machine. That is also called nested virtualization. It is also possible, but for this case, I'm just going to do it directly on my machine. All right, so now that changes has been downloaded and busy configuring. So what we'll have to do is we have to restart in order to confirm all of the changes. So let's go ahead and restart the machine. Alright, so I'm back. My PC has already been restarted. So let's go ahead and search for Windows Sandbox. And if I just type in Sandbox in the search bar, it comes up with Windows Sandbox. Just going to enlarge this. And there we go. Now we're in the Windows Sandbox environment. So let's go around and just familiarize ourselves with, what we've actually created here. So let's go here and say Task Manager. And under Performance, we can see we've got our CPU there. And under Memory, we can see we've got some memory allocated to this virtual machine, which is all cool. We've got a 40 gig hard drive mounted on this machine. And let's open up the command prompt side of things. And let's say ipconfig. And here's what gets interesting, right? So you can see, our DNS suffix is mshome.net. We've got an IP range, which is not my IP range on my machine via the network cable. So this is, think of it as at a hypervisor level, it can assign its own IP address, which means that, it should have internet access outbound. And indeed it does. So one of the tips I can give you guys is even if you use Windows Sandbox, especially if you want to investigate from a cybersecurity perspective, look at some files and you're not sure what those files or attachments are going to do, my recommendation would be is to disable the network adapter side of things, purely because you're not sure if that application or program is going to try to phone home somewhere and if you're not 100% sure, it's always a good idea to stay on the safe side. So let's go ahead, open up Network and Sharing Center, and let's just say here, change adapter settings. And for now, I'm just going to disable it. And let's just run ipconfig again. And as you can see, there's nothing under ipconfig. So let's just clear the screen. And let's see if we can ping Google again. And No luck, because we've disabled the adapter, which is great. So this is now an isolated environment, and you can do whatever you need to do. And as soon as you're done and you close this environment, it's going to not be persistent, right? So as soon as you close it up, it's going to shut down. And when you start it again, it's going to be a fresh Windows Sandbox environment. And we can actually test this, right? So what we can do is we can just create a folder here saying area test. What we can do is we can just close this window, and it's going to give a pop-up here saying, are you sure you want to close this Windows Sandbox? Once Windows Sandbox is closed, all of its contents will be discarded and permanently lost. Great, so let's give it a shot and actually see if it does what it says on the box. Alright, so now that our Windows Sandbox environment has been closed, let's open up it again. And let's just search for Sandbox. Alright, so we're in the virtual machine now, and as we can see, there's no file anymore on the desktop, which means, this has been a blank slate environment. So let's just open up command prompt. Let's just do an ipconfig, and we can see the settings that we've made earlier to disable the adapter has been reverted. The adapter is working again, which means we should be able to ping Google again. And we can do whatever we need to do. If we wanted to use the internet, we actually have access to it. And there we go. Now you know that Windows Sandbox actually exists. You know it's free, especially if you have a Windows Pro or Windows Enterprise version of Windows 10. And also how to configure it, or enable it rather, and how to be safe when testing malicious documents or files. If you made it this far, remember to put a like on this video, and also consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, where we focus on cybersecurity content in general. That's all, guys. Have a good one. I'm out.